okay, let's go through about 14 connections from Hillary's campaign to Russia. And then they were like, wow, that's different. One of the things I learned is you have to get people to flush out what their standard is at the beginning of the conversation. Because if you don't, particularly when you're talking, I won't be abstract. I'll give you the specific instances that I'm talking about. When you're talking about issues of legal cases into Donald Trump. So back when I was on Above Top Secret, it's 2017, we're talking about FISA warrants to spy on Trump's team. Russiagate, looking into Trump for colluding with Russia. Flynn being charged. Papadopoulos being charged. Carter Page being spied on. Roger Stone being charged. All of this is the stuff we're talking about back then. You know, what I realized was, if you just had a conversation like you would with your friends where you're talking about something because you trust your friend, you and your friend are arguing who's the greatest pitcher of all time, you implicitly understand you're talking in good faith. Like, unless there's something on the line, if it's just two friends talking, you're not worried like, this guy doesn't really believe Satchel Paige. He's bullshitting me for some reason because he's bad faith. So anyways, this is how something like that would work. They would say, well, we had to spy on Trump's team. We had to get those FISA warrants because the allegations were so serious that a presidential candidate and then president and his team were colluding with a hostile foreign power and maybe puppets of a hostile foreign power. So we had to get to the bottom of it. That the allegations were so serious. And so then the simplest question becomes, okay, then what's your standard for this is the point where the allegation is serious enough, requires FISA warrants, spying on a presidential campaign, etc. What's your standard? Because if you don't get them to say what their standard is, do you know what their standard, you know, when you finish the debate, what they're going to say? Can anyone guess at the end of the day what they'll say? When you're like, okay, here's 10 instances of people, accusations of presidential campaigns colluding with hostile foreign powers. What are they going to say? Every time. It's universal. Okay, nothing's universal. So 95% of the time you debate someone on this, they're going to say the same. Well, that's not just it's different. That's ultimately what they're saying. But they're going to say, the thing I'm talking about is exactly what Trump did. That's the issue. Exactly what Trump did. This one's different. That's the standard this time. Exactly right, Lineback. Exactly what they'll do every time. Exactly. That's why it's so important when these stories... You remember when they raided Mar-a-Lago because they got the FBI warrant? Immediately I talked with Pisco, and I'll try to find this debate. Hopefully it didn't get deleted. And I was like, let's go through Pisco now that neither of us know anything. We just know the place got raided. What do we think would be acceptable? What do we think would be over the line? And I was saying things like, I don't think they should raid an ex-president unless all options have been exhausted. Clearly, that wasn't the case with Trump. He was still cooperating. They could have done more, etc., etc. They shouldn't raid. It's not worth it. Over that type of shit, once they did decide they were going to raid, the warrant should have been so narrowly tailored. Seemingly, it was the opposite. They were taking napkins. They were taking passports. They were taking ball bats. Like, this is crazy. Because if you don't have that conversation, the way the debate will go at the end, once every detail comes out, will be, yeah, what they did was the acceptable way. Exactly what they did is acceptable. And exactly what Trump did is the reason that it was acceptable. So going back to the allegations against Trump were so serious, therefore the FISA warrant was justified. Okay, tell me, what are the allegations? And this is, I've told this story before, it was a good, who I would consider a good left-wing debater on that platform, was like, the allegations of a presidential campaign having such numerous connections with a hostile foreign power going into an election. Okay, that's the standard? Yeah. I was like, okay, let's go through about 14 connections from Hillary's campaign to Russia. And then they were like, wow, that's different. That's different. Now, at the end of the day, does that really change? Because that's what they were going to say anyways. Not really.